Guys.
All right, well, welcome back to the, we're at the BevFluence Chicago Speakeasy, and we like to do a lot of different tastings. And so one of the favorite ones we started at the very first was junk food and any type of alcohol, any type of spirits, beer, wine, beer. We fell in love with pie tastings, you know, and where wouldn't you buy a pie but Walmart? You know, $1 or 99 cents for...
These were 84 cents in Chicago?
I think that's pretty much where it is always.
I mean...
So we are going to do, actually Justin and I are going to do the pie tastings because we have our gluten-free friend here.
Not by choice, it's a bummer, but...
So while we're tasting the pie, he's going to lead you through our two different spirits that we're going to use. Right now we have the Walmart pumpkin pie. And so while we divvy this up, the first spirit we have is the Virginia Distillery Company. It's their cider cask, and this is they're in Nelson County, Livingston, I believe, Nelson County, Virginia. And
this is going poorly. Go on. Hey, what?
It's American single malt, right? One of the newest categories approved by the TTB. Entirely.
That's the Tax and Trade Bureau.
Correct, right? And so American single malt means everything happens here in the United States, 100% American barley. It can be distilled on the still up to no more than 160 proof, diluted down to no lower than 80. And, you know, so it's a celebration of American grain through and through. This one, and you're going to notice this is one of the unique things about American single malt is it's pretty agnostic, completely agnostic about the barrel. As long as it's no more than 700 liters, you can use it. So this is done in cider casks, which is appropriate for the BevFluence celebration of cider we've been working on this last year. So this is really exciting, finished in Calvados, cider, and apple brandy barrels. So let's nose this right here. And then we're going to ask these guys how this pairs with their choice of pumpkin pie. What do you think?
Well, first I do want to say thank you. Shout out to George over at the Neat Glass. These are exceptional glasses. They're really fun. Actually, you can see them in my hand versus other glasses. This is designed to let out all of the ethanol, all of the alcohol, and all of that burn so that you're just left with the spirit.
Correct.
So,
evolution of the Glencairn, but
yes.
yes.
I do love the Glencairn. Shout out to Marty. Love you. But we're doing the neat glasses here. I think this is a fantastic pairing. I'm going to let you go first, sir.
So there's a little bit of heat on this. I don't know. I can't even tell with the spinning the ABV, but
it is 93, by the way, proof. 93 proof.
Okay.
So a little bit of heat, but the neat thing with the pumpkin pie is the sweetness sort of dampens that down and sort of blends it in, where it really dissipates the heat pretty quickly. The malt, the breadiness of the malt and the pumpkin pie is just fantastic. I mean, that just comes right in. It's seamless. You don't even think twice about it. There's no disjoint like this. You know, one tastes the other. It just blends perfectly together.
While he has his mouth full, I'll tell you a little bit about, as a non-pie eater, one of the things I really enjoy about this is we don't often talk about floral notes in whiskeys, but this reminds me of kind of the South in spring. Like there's this magnolia, this honeysuckle, this honey, dewy, floral flavor profile that I absolutely love on here. You will, so one, if you've had like the 100% barley, you know that kind of like barley note. You get a little bit of like that toasted. It's I wouldn't say super Cheerio, bready. There's a nice grain character in here, but for me, what really highlights it is this light floral profile to it, and some of it comes from the grain they've distilled. Some of it comes from the finish of the cider cask. But overall, like that's what, if I'm telling a short story about the spirit, the heart of it. Honeysuckle, magnolia, American single malt.
And that's coming out of the gin expert that can really notice that floral notes.
Yeah, I'm a gin nerd, so you're going to get floral notes from me here. All right, now that you've finished your pie, what do you think?
Yes, no, I agree. I think, first of all, this is a fantastic pairing. I love the pumpkin pie. I don't know who doesn't like pumpkin pie, but for those of
Crazy.
you out there,
This
Crazy.
guy.
dead to me. No, I will say American Single Malt is such a great absorber of flavor.
100%.
If you threw this into a char 4 bourbon barrel, it would just destroy every little nuance of the grain. This is very fresh. It's palatable. You do get the honeysuckle. I do get floral notes. You can get floral notes in whiskey. I do also get a little bit of stone fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely get sort of that party mix, flavor profile as well. I think this is really nice. I think it noses incredibly well. There is some nuttiness to the
And I think that you get that from the Calvados cask,
Yeah.
and not necessarily not necessarily an apple flavor, but you
Yeah.
get more of the brandy flavor.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that pumpkin pie. So 9 months from now, or whenever you're watching this, go get yourself
This
some
is a Thanksgiving
Distilling.
pairing.
Happy American Thanksgiving.
Happy American Thanksgiving. Before Valentine's Day. But no, this is definitely the pairing for the holiday. I think.
Yeah.
Get your pumpkin pie.
All right, well, let's move on here.
Yeah.
And we had a feeling that the single malt would work well. This is more of an experiment. We have the Dad's Hat for you in Pennsylvania. Go Eagles! I'm sure you're excited today.
Unless you guys lost, and in which case, go whoever.
Yeah.
Now, when you see this,
Yeah.
you'll know.
Yeah.
So this is a rye whiskey, but it's finished in vermouth barrels, and so I have no idea how this would actually taste with the pumpkin pie.
One of the interesting things is, on the nose about it, a lot of times, like, we think about cola as its own thing, but cola is this complex melange of botanicals, like coriander, some citrus, some nutmeg. On the nose, I immediately get a little bit of that cola aroma to it. On the palate, though, that's where it starts to show its rye forward flavor. You get some of that beautiful, like, sourness to the rye right here. I kind of dig that. As far as the vermouth barrel, I get that really on, like, the long finish as it dries out, like, on the back of the palate right here. I start to get, maybe that hint of oxidized vermouth, but it doesn't wear the vermouth on its sleeve. This is fundamentally really about the rye and the grain in here, and I think that's kind of fun. How does it pair with pie, though, is what I want to know.
It is interesting.
It's interesting. So I will say this: that vermouth cask that they're using, I feel like it's almost like an amaro cask, in that it just has this really nice punch to it. I don't know what vermouth they are using or were using for this, but it's certainly not just a typical, this is sweet vermouth and there's no complexity. There's complexity here, and it's robust. It definitely has. Oh, you're gonna read the label?
Well,
Look at
no.
that.
I'm listening because I think this adds some detail and color to
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
sharing right here, right?
And with the sweetness of the pumpkin pie and the sort of butteriness of the crust, I think it's honestly a really nice pairing. And I don't just have pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving. You should have it all year round. St. Patrick's Day pumpkin pie, Arbor Day pumpkin pie. Go out and do this. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. Springtime pumpkin pie.
So this one was just aged for a minimum of 6 months in new oak quarter casks, smaller than the cask that
Hence the color. Yeah.
American single malt is required to be aged in, and then finished for 3 months in vermouth barrels, which means you're only going to get a little bit of that color. It's at the end, so it's got 2 different aging processes, which explains, I think, or helps understand why you get that balance.
I feel like
there.
this is when you're eating with a pie. It's almost like this is like the glaze on top. Like if you just want to put something on top of the pie. The vermouth, I think, also it tampers down the pepperiness of the rye. It sort of blends it more into a I don't want to say palatable because I love rye whiskey, but it really makes it balanced.
I think it tampers down that almost grassy herbaceousness of some ryes you get where they're just green and you see like undercooked, malted rye, which I don't hate, but I don't love unless it's a very balanced rye, and then you get all those flavors together. I think this is a home run from Dad's Hat. This is really nice, really complex.
And I never would have thought of this with pumpkin pie, but it works.
Great.
Yeah.
It tempers it, but it's not there. You do get some of that green, almost like grassy, like rye notes. You're gonna know this is rye the moment you taste it, and that's what I really dig about it. Like it's not it's not kind of an overwhelming rye. It's like it celebrates kind of those green, grassy notes you want to get from rye without being, boom, that's all we got in here.
And the other thing, just looking at it spins, 94 proof, but I don't taste that.
No,
not at all.
It's
Not
incredibly
hot.
well balanced to that point. It's really nice. It's supple. There's some oak there, but it's not overpowering. I would put this on my bar.
Yeah. Well, as much as we want to keep gushing about rye, because I really enjoy rye. Let's dive on to the next thing, because we have 2 more pies, and we have some cocktail pairings designed to go with it.
So one among us.
First.
Let's start with the lemon right here first, and pardon me, I'll dive behind and showcase a couple of the spirits that are in this cocktail pairing. This is a little bit of a corpse reviver variation of sorts. So we're using 10th Ward Distilling Company's Absinthe in this. We are also using a little bit of Misguided spirits. This is their triple sec classic orange liqueur. And, well, I'm a gin guy, so don't be too shocked. It's a corpse survivor. There's Bold Rock gin in here as well. So this is, as I was developing it, this concept was designed to me, as someone who can't enjoy the pie, evoke my memories and thoughts of like a lemon meringue pie, like a little bit of like that custardy kind of creaminess. Used a little bit of passion fruit liqueur in here as well. So hopefully, I won't color your perspective any longer. I'm curious, what do you think alongside the lemon pie?
Well, I'm just looking at this. I just love I love absinthe, and the 10th Ward makes a fantastic absinthe. And just the nose on this is just, wow.
Right. DM us and I will share the full ratios if you're curious to make this cocktail. But this is like a scant 1/4 ounce of absinthe that was actually shaken in the cocktail here.
There are a couple of ways to make a cocktail. You can, if you're doing a pairing, you can contrast it with what you're tasting, so that there's polar opposites.
Yeah.
Or you can just go straight on. This is straight on in a way that is almost flawless.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The absinthe comes through. I love absinthe. It is one of those things where you just kind of want to wear as cologne sometimes, a little bit behind the ear, and just walk around smelling like licorice and wormwood all day. We've all been there.
And hence we're wearing green.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
Well,
Potentially, but
also the BevFluence colors, So with the gin, you get a little bit of the herbaceousness, you get a little bit of the juniper, not much, but just a tiny bit shows through, some floral, as you would expect. And then you've got that citrus in there that, honestly, it complements the pie so well that this is honestly something I wouldn't usually order. I'm not a huge lemon guy, but this is almost flawless.
it almost feels like a health food.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's the lemon meringue that you're going for. It really, that's where I think the complementary comes, where it sort of adds a little bit to the pie, that little meringue taste to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think absinthe does a lot to add this. I don't want to say brightness isn't. It adds like a contrasting note to a very citrus forward cocktail, and it's an underrated cocktail ingredient in my opinion, especially. And I'd say it wasn't a rinse. It was literally a 1/4 ounce shaken into here, and it's incorporated fully. It's not just in the glass. You're really getting some of that wormwood, some of that green note. I think it's an interesting pairing that hopefully contrasted with the natural sweetness of like a lemon pie, right?
Yeah. I think this is
that's a great one. We're gonna have to post that recipe with the show notes here.
Take a look at the show notes. Take a look at all the stuff at the bottom of the screen. You'll see links to recipes, links to who BevFluence is, who we are, and who Aaron is. We're thrilled to have him on the team, and we're thrilled to be, able to share our expertise and our knowledge with everybody. And honestly, we're really thrilled to be able to sit around and eat pie.
And right. So I'm a gin person. That is what I've done for the last 15 years. However, this next cocktail, there's no gin in it, so I don't want to be a one-trick pony right here. This one is celebrating a bourbon, again, Bold Rock bourbon in this one, but the next pie is going to be a cherry pie. So we talked a little bit about contrast in the last one. This one was maybe a little bit more literal of an interpretation of cherry. So starting with a base of bourbon, we then added, there is some cherry juice in here. There's also a really interesting chokecherry, I want to almost say like essence. Who was that from again?
So Weber Flavors sends us some really great, and there's other companies too that send us really great flavor components. It's a 1% to 1.5% solution. So we make syrups, we experiment, we have fun, and we enjoy being able to tinker with different flavor profiles.
Yeah.
Taking that bottle of gin and say, hey, let's add something else to it, and let's make a syrup, a big old thing of simple syrup, a couple of gallons at a time, and then adding literally a couple of drops of concentrated flavor.
Right.
So thank you, Weber, for that.
Yes, thank you.
And chokecherry came through brilliantly in this.
And what really drew me to it was that there was the marzipan almond sort of facet in it that the cherry juice did not have, that I thought was going to be a really nice balance to some of the grassy notes of the bourbon itself right here. There's also a little bit of citrus in it. So hopefully this kind of takes cherry but builds on what you are getting in this cherry pie right here. So
the citrus definitely helps. That's more the complementary part of this cherry, where the cherry pie itself is, you get the sweetness, but the acidity really cuts into that with the sweetness, and the lemon really, it is lemon, right?
It is lemon, yeah.
It's definitely lemon. I will say thank you so much to Peterson Farm as well for throwing us a bottle of your tart cherry, your tart cherry juice.
100% juice, right?
100% juice.
Yeah, and I think like using the real 100% cherry juice is like really helps that kind of like that literal evocation of it. Citrus, always a really nice balancing for something sweet right here. And the bourbon adds kind of an earthiness and grounding to it. So, I mean, I hope you're enjoying it alongside the pie here.
I forgot about the bourbon, but that actually keeps the body of the cocktail.
I did.
Yeah.
This is a great bourbon cocktail that you almost forget, because not all bourbon cocktails have to be straight bourbon on ice. Like a Manhattan, which is a Manhattan without the bitters and the
which is beautiful. Yes, it's
This needs to be institutionalized. I mean, this needs to be.
Oh, you can see I had 2 slices, so.
And this celebrates the experimentation, right? So I won't pretend to be a professional bartender. I know a thing or two about cocktails, but we were just inventing these, kind of working on these upstairs alongside of the pies. There's maybe you'll share some of the clips along the way. There were a couple cocktails that didn't quite make it to the table, but I mean that's the fun. Like you take a new ingredient, you take something you haven't worked with, and you experiment. You sometimes fail. You sometimes create something that people are going to really enjoy. But I think that's fundamentally how we invent new things.
And the best thing, everyone has just the bottles that are just sitting at your bar that you just don't know what to do with, and just sitting there. This is a perfect example.
Experiment. Go get yourself some 90-cent pies and experiment. Taste through some things, learn what you love, and have some fun doing it.
Yeah, right. So, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this. DM us for more cocktail recipes and keep watching BevFluence. Cheers.
Oh, that's so